You know, the funny thing is, this might surprise some people, but when I was a kid, I hated hiking. I hated backpacking. See, I've been backpacking and hiking my entire life. Ever since I was a baby, really. Because my parents, you know, we never had a lot of money growing up. And backpacking was one of those activities that you could do relatively cheaply as long as you have all your gear. So, you know, like instead of going on vacations to Europe and stuff, my family, we would go backpacking and camping and hiking. And the reality is, when I was a kid, I hated it. And I think part of the reason I hated it was because I was forced to do it. But then another aspect to it, I think, is that when you're a kid, you're really brainwashed by society, and everything that you're fed in the media and on TV, it all revolves around the city life. You know, I guess once you start actually exploring the real world, I'm talking about nature, you know what I'm saying, like understanding animal behavior and weather patterns and global warming and erosion and stuff, you really start understanding that there is so much brainwashing in our society. It's insane. You know, I personally believe there is a massive government conspiracy to try to get us all to sit in front of our TVs, watch spectator sports, get fat, and then spend our money on statins and diabetes medicine when our hearts fail from all the crap that we put in our bodies and the sedentary lifestyle, which is highly encouraged by those in power. Anyway, that's a whole different story. Now I'm thinking I need to take my ice axe out at some point. I don't know. I guess everybody has their own thing. But for me, you know, when I come out here to the wild and I'm really in it, and this is not going to make sense to a lot of people unless you've like experienced this, but I really feel what I call the Zen. Okay, there's no word for this in the English language. There's no way to really explain this, but it's, again, I can only analogize it to like a religious experience or a spiritual experience, but it's like a oneness. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a flow. It's like you're in it and you're doing it. And I just can't put it any simpler than that. You know what I'm saying? Like you're chopping steps, you're moving forward, you're feeling the wind on your face, and you're just loving life. But it's not like a pleasure. It's like a different branch of pleasure. It's like a pain pleasure. I don't know how to explain this, but those of you who hike and climb, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. All right, so I opted to switch to my ice axe because it's getting a little steeper, but definitely manageable. Looks like I'm getting sort of near the top of the chute. I guess I didn't really appreciate how jagged the Olympics are. I mean, this is quite a spectacular mountain range. Just extremely gorgeous with all the snow and with a clear sky like today. I mean, it just doesn't get any better than this. So, I was told there is a trail that leads up here. And what I climbed does not seem like a trail. And when I looked at the map, it looks like there is another way to get up here, like another route. And I just don't see that way. I'm guessing it's this way because there's a little path over there. And the way I came up is labeled winter route on the map. And so I'm thinking I just came up the winter way and there's some easier way to get up. I don't know, who cares? The important thing is that I made it up here in one piece and I have a gorgeous blue sky day. I mean, I can't ask for anything more. This is about as good as it gets. But I just want to see what some of these cliffs look like. Like, look at this, man. I mean, this is really jagged. Wow. I have to say, you know, when I first heard about the Olympics, I heard the rock isn't very good. I heard it's crumbly. I heard it's like this pillow basalt. Like, not like the Sierra granite, which is super solid and fun to climb. But honestly, I'm really impressed. The rock is very different from the rock I'm used to climbing. It has a lot of grippiness to it and, you know, a decent amount of features and stuff. I mean, dude, look at these cliffs. That's insane. You know what I'm saying? Like, I love this kind of stuff. I just love huge cliffs. I don't know what it is. It's probably something about my personality, but I just can't get enough of this kind of stuff. And this is not hard to get up either. I really do believe like anybody could do this. You don't need to have any special mountaineering skills. All you need is, you know, a pair of like waterproof boots and trekking poles, and I don't know, I guess an ice axe would be nice. I personally think crampons are ideal because I would have felt safer at certain sections if I had traction, especially with like the slushy snow, like on a day like today where it's really hot. So here's a look at the summit area on Mount Ellinor. Very beautiful summit, I have to say. With all the snow and everything, it looks very dramatic, and the blue sky is contributing to my happiness. I have to say I lucked out because, I don't know, I had this impression of Washington that it's always rainy, and maybe I just lucked out, but I don't know, for me it's the simple things in life. Like, sunshine really makes me happy. And when I have a weather window to climb, that is something to be thankful for. Because the truth is, that doesn't always happen. But I mean, look at these mountains, man. It's just endless, endless wilderness up here. Untouched by man and by bureaucrats trying to run our lives. trying to tell us where we can go, what we can do. We have to remind ourselves that this land belongs to the people, not to these fat bureaucrats making laws. All right, so I am on the summit of Mount Ellinor in the Olympic Mountains, and I have to say it is drop dead gorgeous up here. The views are incredible. The mountains are very jagged. There's lots of spires, there's lots of snow. It is a crystal clear blue day. It is actually kind of warm outside. But because it's a Wednesday and I had an early start, I have the whole summit to myself, which is unusual because this is a very popular hike to do. I definitely want to come back to the Olympics and climb some more, because the thing is, the mountains are not very high up here. And you have higher mountains that are nearby, Mount Rainier, Mount Adams, and so on and so forth. But the thing is that the mountains here are very high compared to the surrounding landscape. So like right over there is the ocean. So sea level is right there. So for example, where I live in the Sierra Nevada, the mountains are much higher. They're like 13,000, 14,000 feet. But then you have these big foothills that extend to like 8,000, 9,000 feet. So they don't feel as high because the difference in terms of the altitude between the summit and the surrounding landscape is not as great. Whereas here, you have very dramatic relief. Lots of prominence is the term they use in mountain lingo. And I love that. I love feeling high, and that's what makes you feel high, is when you have the surrounding landscape low and you high compared to it. I hope that makes sense. So, I have had an orange for lunch, and I've enjoyed the summit for a little bit. It's definitely getting warm, so I'm getting ready to pack up my stuff and head back to the car. All right, so I made it back to the car, and my first impression of the Olympics is it's astounding. It's the most beautiful place in the entire world. I'm in love with it. There's something magical about the Olympics. I can't really describe it, but when I look at the mountains, you know what they remind me of? They remind me of Oreo cookies, because they have that white snow and then that dark rock. It's like unlike any place I've ever been before. And then you have the rainforest. There's just so much to love about the Olympic Peninsula.